The Harry Potter franchise is, I mean, it's my favorite like book to movie adaptation of all time. The Harry Potter series is my favorite book series of all time. And it's one of my favorite things in all of media. Like it it's top 3, possibly top 1, probably top 2. In fact, the keychain that is shaking right now is stop that. Yeah. It says Hogwarts on it. I will remove it for visibility purposes. There. Hogwarts. It says stuff on it. These the words at the bottom are like Latin words that are on Hogwarts but are never actually mentioned in the book. Could be just a movie thing and it's still shit. Whatever. So the point is, I'm going to rank the Harry Potter movies and the Fantastic Beasts ones because they're technically in the wizarding world. Because we got a new one, and I'll give my thoughts on it. It was pretty good. But anyway, so let's do this. Thing to remember here, I'm very biased towards the Harry Potter films, and I do tend to look at them more as, oh, how close are they to the books, as opposed to this just movies in and of themselves. So keep that in mind. I'm not going to try to not do that because that's just what I've done since I've been watching them, which has been it's been several years. So, let's do this. In last place is Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Just I don't even know what to say about this. It's such a mess, a confused mess of jumbled plot lines and ludicrous character stuff that doesn't make any sense. Dumbledore's hardly in the movie. Newt Scamander is in the movie quite a bit, and he has no reason to be. And, like, it's such a, like, this is the movie where you feel the Fantastic Beasts franchise trying to figure out what it is the most. Because, like, does it want to be about Fantastic Beasts, or does it want to be about Grindelwald stuff? And with this movie, they try to combine the two, and they don't fit together. Like, weird, quirky adventures with Fantastic Beasts and Newt Scamander and all that stuff don't fit with a big battle with Grindelwald and his supporters. It doesn't fit. On top of that, you got Johnny Depp as Grindelwald, who I think the character of Grindelwald is written kind of weird here because he's not as compelling of a villain as he should be. I've heard people say that it's not believable that he and Dumbledore used to be friends or used to know each other or used to interact or had any type of past whatsoever. So it's like it just doesn't fit. So I don't think Johnny Depp is the big problem, which is weird because you'd think that he wouldn't be a good choice for Grindelwald. I don't think he is a great choice for Grindelwald, but honestly, he doesn't do that bad of a job. He looks pretty weird, but you know what? I think he does an okay job for what he's given. I haven't seen the movie in a little bit, so I don't remember exactly all the stuff about his performance, but he's fine. I don't think he's probably one of the better parts of the movie, but there's just so much confusing stuff that happens in this movie. Like, you got this stuff with Newt doing whatever. Dumbledore's in the background scheming to do random stuff. There's a bunch of flashbacks to Newt and this girl, Leta Lestrange, played by Zoe Kravitz. Don't know how she got herself into this movie, but she did. What am I saying? She was in X-Men First Class. Actually, X-Men First Class is pretty good. What am I saying? Anyway, so, yeah. The stuff with Newt's brother is just random. And you got Tina trying to figure out what she's doing. Kowalski is thrown back into the mix because, well, I mean, he's a likable character. Of course we're not going to follow up what we did in the last movie with anything that makes sense. Like, he was obliviated at the end of the last movie, and yet somehow he remembers all this stuff. He's not, I don't recall him being unobliviated in any meaningful sense. So that was weird. Credence is just out trying to find out who he is or whatever. And Like, the first movie didn't set that up with all, and he's off with Nagini, apparently, Voldemort's snake, who apparently is a person who can turn into a snake. How does that make any sense? Like, what? If Voldemort's snake was a person the whole time, why didn't she just transform into a person whenever something bad was happening? And she could have used, oh, I don't know, a wand to help fight. But no, she just remains a... How does any of this make any sense? Anyway, so, and all of these plot lines culminate in the not climax in the middle of this big empty room where apparently there's this guy who randomly tells Credence that he is in fact Corvus Lestrange. And then apparently the real Corvus Lestrange is dead because she was crying too much on a boat when he was a baby. So his sister Lita swapped him out for a different baby. And then when the boat crashed, she took that baby and somebody else took the baby that she swapped her brother baby out for. And then their brother baby drowned with the lady who thought she had the baby that she had. That was if that sounded confusing, I apologize. But that's how it happens in the movie. So, yeah, apparently Credence is this other baby who nobody knows who he is, except Grindelwald knows who he is. How? Who knows? Apparently he's Aurelius Dumbledore, and they let me sit for 4 years, almost 4 years, and think that he was actually Dumbledore's brother. It doesn't make sense. Like, they changed it in the third one, but I don't know if they actually had a plan for this franchise. Really, it seems like they didn't. Like, they were just kind of making stuff up as they go along. It's like the Star Wars prequels, kind of. Actually, no. It's more like the Star Wars sequels. Just making stuff up as they went along. And, like, just the very idea of Dumbledore having a brother that is 20 years younger than him doesn't make sense. Because his parents both, like, died before he was 15. I don't know. And why is Minerva McGonagall here? Like, she shouldn't even be born yet. I don't know. It's just such an idiotic movie that tries to tug on nostalgia strings or whatever a bit. But it just ends up becoming a mess that doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever. I have not seen it since I saw it in the theaters, so if I was inaccurate on any of my information from the film, I apologize, but I have no desire to ever watch this movie ever again. Moving on. Number 10 is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It's okay. I think, well, the movie is actually about Newt trying to recover his Fantastic Beasts around New York City. It's actually pretty good. I think Newt's a likable character. Jacob Kowalski and Queenie Goldstein they're fun. I enjoy them. Tina, I don't like Tina at all. I'm very glad the franchise decided to abandon her after she did nothing in the second movie and did pretty much nothing in this movie. I don't like her at all. The actress I don't think she's cast well. She just comes off as a knockoff Ginnifer Goodwin. I don't know. I think Ginnifer Goodwin is fine, but she's better than this person who they got to play Tina. Anyway, so in that regard, I think the movies can be kind of fun. It has Ron Perlman as a goblin, who's in like one scene. It doesn't matter. He's good. Colin Farrell is very good as the villain. I do like seeing the American side of the Wizarding World, but the movie has some severe tonal problems. Like, it jumps from, ooh, fun, fantastic beasts, look, and Newt's trying to recover the little Niffler guy who's stealing coins, and it's so cute, it's such a cute little thing, and then it goes to child abuse, where this evil orphanage foster mom is beating up Ezra Miller with a belt. It doesn't fit. And then there's this whole stuff with Grindelwald that's going on in the background, and then, like, the reveal at the end that Colin Farrell is actually Grindelwald, ooh, big surprise. I don't know if it was intended to be a big surprise because they show a shot of the back of Colin Farrell's head that is exactly like the shot from the back of Grindelwald's head that they did earlier in the movie. So I don't know if it was supposed to be a big shock, but it was to me because I didn't remember when I first saw the movie, but whatever. Yeah, it seems like unnecessary because Grindelwald didn't need to play into this movie at all, but now he did. And now it's about him. It's all about him. Anyway, and like all the stuff with the second Sailor Moon seems so dark for a movie called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So I don't know. It's fine. It's a perfectly average movie, but I just don't think it's great. Number 9 is Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. You know what? It's not great by any means. It still feels like they're just trying to course correct from the second one and do a bit of retconning. But like it really just feels like them trying to fix everything they screwed up. But honestly, it's a fun movie. I enjoyed watching this film. It had a fun story. I think like the stuff with Dumbledore trying to confuse everybody and Grindelwald was pretty fun. Again, Newt is a likable character. Jacob is a likable character. And it drops some of the unlikable characters. Tina. And you have this like group of wizards who are like the Wizard Avengers, only because there's 6 of them, but so they were kind of fun, sort of. But really, I think the glue that holds this movie together is Grindelwald and Dumbledore. Jude Law, he gets much more screen time as Dumbledore than in the second one. He's so good and so on point as young Dumbledore. Like, he feels like Dumbledore, also feeling like a much younger version of Dumbledore who, like, is less wise, but still has that air of mystery about him, who still acknowledges his mistakes, and is still very humble, very smart, and is, like, 5 steps ahead of everybody else. So he's great. And Mads Mikkelsen, whew, you know, he just should have been cast from the start. I don't know why they cast Johnny Depp. He's American. What? Grindelwald's... I know he does a very convincing British accent, because he convinced me that he was British. I had no idea he was American until, like, a couple of years ago. But, like, why? Anyway, but, yeah, Mads Mikkelsen is phenomenal. He and Jude Law have such amazing chemistry. You buy that they had a relationship prior to that. You buy that they have a past together. And as much as the movie does feel like J.K. Rowling trying to incorporate some changes into the Harry Potter canon, they're good changes. They make sense. Like, they fix the whole Credence is Dumbledore's brother twist in a way that doesn't make a whole lot of sense still, but he's apparently Dumbledore's nephew, and he's Aberforth Dumbledore's son, but you know what? I mean, they never say that Dumbledore doesn't have a nephew, so you know what? I don't have a huge problem with that. Plus, it's kind of an afterthought in this movie, weirdly enough. But I enjoyed it. It's not great, because I don't know, but it's still a good movie. Now, the next 8 films, which is all the Harry Potter ones, I think I love each of them in an individual way. I just have more problems with some than others, so I'm probably not going to go as in-depth with them because I haven't watched them very recently. I will go in-depth probably in a different video, but anyway. Number 8 is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This one has just... This is the first film that was PG-13, I believe. And it feels like the series has taken a step in maturity as the characters mature. They allowed the story to mature with the audience, and that's always good when the movie does this. The whole set, the tournament stuff, all of it is so much fun to watch. The first, second, and third tasks, I like seeing different parts of the Wizarding world in different countries. Like, you got France and Bulgaria in there. It introduces fun new characters in Mad Eye Moody, kind of. We get to see the fully fledged Voldemort in his all his glory, and Ray Fiennes kills it in the role. I can't imagine anybody else being as good a Voldemort as he was. Like, he's got all the mannerisms down pat. The stuff that kind of irks me about it, it feels like they had to condense this book into this movie, because I mean, like, it opens up with the first scene of the book, and then it skips ahead like 100 pages to them going to the Quidditch World Cup, and then the Quidditch World Cup itself lasts about 10 seconds, and then they go to the Death Eaters stuff, and then they're at school. And that's like the first third of the book that they condensed into the first like maybe like 30-40 minutes of the movie. It's just it goes so quickly, and it's like you don't get time to know anybody. Like they don't spend enough time with Barty Crouch as they should. They don't spend enough time with Barty Crouch Jr. as they should. Like, he's technically the main villain of this movie because he's the one that eventually leads to Voldemort's arisal. That's not a word. Voldemort rising. And spoilers for the movie. Whatever. It's 17 years old. So, yes. So, like, Barty Crouch Jr. is revealed, and then they cut away to something else. What's the deal, man? I don't get. And like, each of the tasks in the tournament takes as much time as necessary. But it feels like they had to cut corners to have those scenes take as much time as necessary. On top of that, it's a different director than the first two films, the third film, and the final four films in the series. And personally, he's not a bad director by any means. No, I think he did a good job, but he just it doesn't bring as distinct of a vibe to the Wizarding World as like Alfonso Cuarón did in the third film, or Chris Columbus in the first two, or I believe David Yates in the second in the like back half of this series. He directed all those movies. The guy's name is Mike Newell. Again, not bad. Not bad at all. Like, he brought Voldemort. There's scenes in this movie that are fantastic, but if it just feels like they had to cut a couple corners to get there, and that's why it is my least favorite of the Harry Potter films, even though I still think it's a a great movie. Plus, Cedric Diggory. He's such a good character. He's played by Robert Pattinson. Batman! Anyway. Moving on, number 7 is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This is another one where it feels like they did have to condense quite a bit, because the book is very long. It is the longest Harry Potter book. It is about 790 pages, I believe, and this might be the shortest Harry Potter film. And it feels like they spend time on certain stuff, but with other stuff, it's like it just moves so quickly. There's no Quidditch in here whatsoever. They spend a lot of time on like the climax and stuff, and all that stuff's great. Like, the whole climax of this movie at the Ministry of Magic is fantastic. All the stuff with Umbridge and her just messing with things. Umbridge, she's such a diabolical villain, and like so unbelievably cruel and ruthless with such a sweet looking exterior. She's a great villain, and Imelda Staunton does a phenomenal job portraying her. But like, they montage through a lot of other stuff. Like, I always want more time with Harry being the leader and with Dumbledore's army. And it feels like they do some of that too quickly. And the way they're betrayed doesn't make as much sense as it does in the book. And I don't really like the way it plays out here as much. But still, you get some very cool new characters in here. Kingsley Shacklebolt, Nymphadora Tongs, Bellatrix Lestrange. What a villain. So yeah, not to mention, this one has always been probably my least favorite story of the Harry Potter books or films, whatever, but either way, it's still a very good movie. It looks fantastic. This was the first one directed by, again, I think David Yates, but either way, very good movie, just has a couple problems. Number 6 is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Now, I've heard many people complain that this is, it's just all the setup stuff. Yeah, but it's interesting setup. And yeah, there's some stuff where it's just kind of slow. And I don't, there's like, I feel like the movies just kind of wanted to make the audience mad with the Harry and Hermione dance scene. I don't love it. Plus, the song is so weird. But anyway, but like all, you get to spend a ton of time with these three characters that we've been with for a really long time. You know, explore their relationships. Ron and Hermione have this chemistry with something starting to form between them. And then Ron leaves, and it explores him very interestingly. Then their group dynamic is just so pivotal to everything that happens in this film. Um, there's a lot of really cool action. The Death Eater chase at the beginning. When they get to Malfoy Manor. The death of Dobby. Ooh, it hits hard. It's done so well. He's such a sad character. You get the whole adventure with them infiltrating the Ministry of Magic. So, yes, it's all set up, but to me, it's all interesting setup, and it's all done extraordinarily well, because at this point in the series, they did, like, the visual effects. I don't know why I made that noise, but still, yeah. Number 5 is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I think there's some goofy moments with the acting. Like, at one point, Harry's like, no, Mr. Filch, you don't understand. But I don't know, that one line is just always kind of funny to me. But you know what? It's such a fun movie because it has a very clear mystery. Like, they set up this stuff with the Chamber of Secrets. We get a ton of lore about Hogwarts with the 4 founders and the chamber itself. We get to see a lot more about Voldemort exploring Tom Riddle. And the stuff in the final Chamber of Secrets battle, I don't love that specific final battle in and of itself. Because it's just, I mean, it feels like it's kind of rushed. They spend more time on Harry trying to not move when the basilisk is right in front of him than they do him actually fighting the basilisk or fighting Tom Riddle. But either way, you still get some very cool stuff in here. It just fills out the mythology of this world. We get to see more of the Weasleys, and they're just such great characters, the Weasleys. And we get several really very good new characters in this franchise. Dobby. Oh, Dobby. What a sweet-natured character. And he's so much fun. And he's so well-intentioned, but he's such a buffoon when he's trying to help Harry because he's just like, he's doing it so badly. It's just fun to watch. Lucius Malfoy, played by Jason Isaacs. Man, he is just such a sinister character. When you see this guy, you immediately like, oh yeah, that's why Draco turned out the way he did, because he's just like, well, Weasley Senior, and he's so smarmy and evil, and I love him. And of course, Gilderoy Lockhart, played by Kenneth Branagh, who adds so much bravado and over-the-topness to this character. It was already very bravado-y and over-the-top in the book, but he just helps it along so much. And the fact that he's just such a coward who, like, hasn't done anything meaningful in his entire life except for steal stuff that other people have done, it's just such a good character. Oh yeah, Aragog, the spider, and we get to it's just fun being in this early stage of Harry, Ron, and Hermione's lives where they're still kids, and it's just fun to watch them interact. So yeah, it's such a good movie. I enjoy it every time, and the ending, it's so sweet. It's so with Hagrid coming back and being like, and just. I love this movie. Anyway, number 4 is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. This might be my personal favorite and my thoughts on what the best one is in terms of book-to-movie adaptation. Because even though it does skip over some stuff, like certain memories that Dumbledore shows Harry, it has all the essentials down, and I think it does it very well. You got Horace Slughorn being introduced here by Jim Broadbent, and he does such a good job. And I like learning all this stuff about Voldemort's past. It sets up a lot of the stuff that Harry is using in the final two films to defeat Voldemort, with the Horcruxes, with his arrogance and his desire to be immortal. And it's just I love all that stuff with Harry and Dumbledore. And this one is pivotal to their relationship because in the fifth one, they don't really interact that much. I mean, they're in scenes together, but they don't interact in those scenes together. They're very distant, and that's the point. They don't really explain that much in the movie, but they explain it in the book anyway. And so, in this one, they get to be together a whole lot more, and it's just so much fun seeing them together. The actors have just great chemistry, and a lot of this movie, why not just voice correct it? Whatever. A lot of the movie deals with like the relationship stuff between these characters. Like with Ron and Hermione starting to have a bit of love for each other in there. But I mean, Ron is off with this lavender chick who's just wacko. And it's fun to see them together. You got Harry and Ginny for the first time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I had to complain about anything in this movie, it would be Harry and Ginny. It's so rushed, and it's so weird the way that they're put together, because like in the book it's sweet. Like, okay, Ginny is the one character that I feel was mistranslated in terms of book to movie, because like she has a fiery personality, and she's a kind of strong-willed. She's very hot-headed, kind of. She stands up to Ron all the time. She talks back to him. She's sarcastic. She's funny. But in the movies, she's just like, "Hey, I'm gonna kiss you now in this room. You close your eyes. I'm gonna tie your shoes now." That is just such an awkward scene. Ugh. Why does she need to tie his shoe? What's up with that? Come on, you gotta be kidding me. But it is followed up by a very cool scene with the fire in the Weasley's house, which is not in the books, but it's a cool scene nonetheless, and it does work in the movie. I don't know why it's there, but it's there. Either way, that outside of Harry and Ginny, whose relationship feels kind of it is made up for by all the Malfoy stuff. Like he's just such an interesting character, and like they actually spend a lot of time with him. And, of course, the final scenes with Dumbledore and his death. Whew. It's hard-hitting stuff, man. Snape, the ultimate betrayal of his actions here that are explained, of course, in a couple movies down the line. But still, they are just tragic to watch here. And, man, oh, you hate Snape at the end of this movie, even though he's so good. Anyway, so it's a very, very good movie. Oh my god, it's a great movie. Moving on. Number 3 is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the third movie, ironically. Oh man, I just love this movie. It has like, this one does go into more mature stuff than the first two did. That's a very bad phrasing of what I was meant to say, but still. You get a lot of stuff about the Marauders, in the introduction of Remus Lupin, Sirius Black, and Peter Pettigrew. And Harry learns a lot more about his dad being involved in this group of people who cared so much about each other. And, of course, you get some great introductions in this movie. Of course, Remus Lupin and Sirius Black. David Thewlis and Gary Oldman slay their parts, especially Gary Oldman. He doesn't get that much screen time here, but he is a world-class actor, and he does an amazing job. Yeah, and you got like Timothy Spall in here as Peter Pettigrew. Oh, he's a strange-looking fella, but he's a very, very good character, good villain. You learn more about Snape and his relationship with these people. And then you got like Professor Trelawney in there. This movie is actually quite funny. The dynamics between Harry, Ron, and Hermione are actually about the same, but they have all this stuff with Hagrid going on, and they want to be there for him, but they also know that he was kind of in the wrong about some of the stuff that he was doing. We also have Malfoy, who's just being so despicable and Yeah. The- all leading up to this moment where Hermione just punches him in the face. Oh, it's awesome. And of course, you got like the time travel stuff in there. Um, that was just fun because you have like weird little hints of Hermione being in places where she wasn't before or not being somewhere where she just was. And you know what? She's just it's a fun idea, and the movies do enough with it that it makes sense what that time they didn't just pull time travel out of their rear ends. Like it makes sense here. And I think the best thing about this movie is the direction because it's just so interestingly shot, and you have like a ton of just cool stuff in there from the CGI being honestly much improved from the last ones. Um, and I think Alfonso Cuarón, he kind of changed how Hogwarts looked, which makes it kind of inconsistent, but it still looks cool. And I think this was the right step to go for this series. It makes it look weirder and much less like the not human, the Muggle world, and it's just so well done. I think the mystery in here is very compelling. So, yes, I think it's a great, great movie. Number two, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, depending on you're watching this in Europe or somewhere. Anyway, oh, I love this movie. Man, every time I watch it, I think, is it really as good as I have? Is it really, does it deserve to be as high up as it is? Yes, 100% it does. It's such a fun movie. You get to explore this world of Hogwarts, not really the wizarding world as a whole, but just Hogwarts, and that's enough for this one movie. It's just so much fun. And like the casting here, every single actor is perfectly cast. From the main trio of Harry, Ron, and Hermione, just right from the get-go. Perfect. Every single one of them. And like all three of these people went on to have long careers, and they're so great in just this one. They were like 10 and 11 years old, and they're so phenomenal. But like the adult characters, Hagrid, spot on. Couldn't have named a better Hagrid if I'd been doing it myself. Um, he's magnificent. The Dursleys, just such diabolical people who are just very fun to watch. McGonagall, Dumbledore, that Richard Harris rip, man. Snape, Alan Rickman. He's probably my favorite character in this entire franchise. Oh man, I love Snape. He's so wicked, but he's so enjoyable to watch. Even like side characters like Neville, the twins, Ginny. Ginny has one line in this movie, and even though they don't really handle her character that great in the movies to come, I think the actress is still very, very well cast. Even Quirrell, Professor Quirrell, just appears in this one movie, and he's so good. Like this actor, I don't think he's had that major of a career, but he's very, very good. As he's just a very nervous guy, and he's very good at just switching to the menacing side of that, like on the spot. And this was the first glimpse of Voldemort, and it's kind of terrifying, but it's there. The movie can get very emotional with the stuff with Harry looking at his parents in the mirror. And actually, it's either Half-Blood Prince or this that's the best book-to-movie adaptation. Because there's just so much stuff that they include from the books in here. The Troll. They had to get Harry, Ron, and Hermione together. Quidditch. Oh, it's so much fun. All the Quidditch stuff that happens in this movie. And you get some of that in it's just so much fun. The world of Hogwarts, seeing all these classes and all this cool magic stuff, the effects have mostly held up very, very well. There are a couple moments that look kind of weird, like maybe Fluffy the dog. Maybe it doesn't look that great for today's standards, but it was 2001. It was 21 years ago. Oh my god. Anyway, but it's just such a fun movie, and it's not as mature as the later ones, but it's such a great introduction to this world and these characters, and I love it. Every time I watch it, it somehow gets even better. But number one is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 2. This was like all the payoff that they could have done. The one thing I don't love is Harry snapping the Elder Wand. Like that, I don't get why he did that. But because that's different in the book. And there's, I don't know if I like Voldemort flaking away and then immediately cutting to a scene of Neville and Luna being like, hey, and like, but either way, I don't care. From like the opening scene of this movie with Voldemort, I believe it's Voldemort and the wand, him getting the Elder Wand for the first time, to that final shot of all of them in their like late 30s just together, seeing their kids go off to Hogwarts, having adventures. Hopefully we will never see those adventures chronicled especially in a play that will hopefully never happen or include a child of Voldemort. Yeah, I hate the cursed child. Whatever. But, man, I love this movie. You got the whole adventure of Gringotts Bank, which it's fun to see them plan, and it's fun to see them execute it. And it is kind of a random adventure, except it's not, because they get the cup, and they need the cup to kill Voldemort. And then the Battle of Hogwarts, it's probably my favorite thing in this entire franchise. Like, from the second they get into Hogsmeade to the second the battle is over, or the second Voldemort's defeated and they're just standing on the broken bridge, it's just all amazing stuff. You get a ton of phenomenal action, great stuff with these characters that we hadn't seen for like a full movie. Like, McGonagall gets to be this general, basically. Seamus gets to blow stuff up. He has a particular proclivity for pyrotechnics. I still don't know what some of that stuff means, but Neville Longbottom, this moron, this guy who he was clumsy, he was forgetting things, he was screwing up in basically like the first six films. And now he's just this pivotal character who rallied these Hogwartsian people to fight Voldemort. And he does it so well. It's so awesome to see all that. In Harry's last scene with Dumbledore, it's just so great. The stuff with the Malfoys, how they just walk away after they see, like, oh, we're not going to win this. We're getting out of here. Like, that's true to who they are. I mean, they're not good people, but they don't care about Voldemort anymore. It's fun to see that stuff. The Snape. Oh, man, the stuff with Snape. Like, his death was very sad to me because he's Snape. He's awesome. He rocks. But, like, you get then the montage of his memories, and everything just falls into place with what he's been doing. How he's been acting over the past 8 movies makes so much sense as you see all these brief memories between him and Dumbledore, between him and Lily. Oh, and that scene where he conjures the Patronus and then he just says the always line. Oh my god, it's so awesome. You get some powerful deaths in here, man. Like Remus Lupin and Nymphadora Tonks. That, like, Harry looks around and sees their bodies lying there with their hands so close together. And it's like, Fred Weasley. They killed him. Oh, man. I always get very sad about that. And you think Harry Potter's dead. But then when he comes back, it's so awesome. You get the best Voldemort performance ever. And the battle between the two of them, no matter how weird the flaking Voldemort stuff is, I don't give a crap. It's so cool. This final, huge, massive confrontation between them that this series has been building to since, like, the first scene of the first movie, or the first scene of the first book. And it's so magnificent and powerful to see. Man, I love this movie. All the payoff that you get here, and that last scene, that's just special right there. So yeah, without question, this is the best of the Harry Potter, Wizarding World movies to me. So Yeah, I know I'm biased for the Harry Potter movies, but I don't care. They're so special to me specifically. And you know what? Even the Fantastic Beasts movies, they're not that awful. Crimes of Grindelwald is, but we'll forget about that. That's just, we don't talk about Crimes of Grindelwald here. Yeah. But anyway, comment your own ranking in the comments. But look, where else would you comment? Whatever. Thank you very, very much for watching, and keep calm and watch Harry Potter movies and read the books. They're amazing.